This year, Shanghai American School at Pudong is offering an exciting opportunity for grade 9 students. For 2 weeks in May, 16 students will truly be experiencing school without walls, using the environment as their classroom, pushing themselves to test their potential and to discover their passions. It will be a time to build team skills, a time to develop self-sufficiency, and a time to think about what it means to have a positive impact on our surroundings. Where will this take place? A remote mountaintop in Jiangxi Province, near the Yangtze River, and about an hour's flight from Shanghai. Why should you take part in this program? Why will an experiential learning program enhance what we already offer in grade 9? For the past 2 years, the SAS mission and core values have driven many of the changes we have been making, both to the grade 9 program as well as across our school. Our mission is certainly inspiring, but what does it mean to our learning community? What we have found is that our students generally cannot articulate their passion, and that to have courage to live your dream means having a dream in the first place. All this means that our mission and core values have to become embedded in everything we do, and that the more opportunities we have to learn through real-life experience and exploration, the better. At Lushan, we want to embrace diversity through offering experiences from different perspectives. We want to build compassion through team, community, and service learning activities. We want to build empowerment through offering active learning experiences rather than passive, offering choice, inquiry learning, and questioning techniques. We want to foster self-efficacy through valuing contributions and providing opportunities for independence. Our school already honors these core values, but moving outside the classroom lets us create a more holistic, real-world experience. Let's ask ourselves, are our students, are we critical thinkers who are creative and have a passion for learning? Do we truly have a learning community? Our students, are they confident, independent individuals, prepared for the world outside the classroom? Research and experience tell us that 3 important motivators in creating a learning community are curiosity, the excitement of discovery, and having ownership of our own learning. An effective design for 21st century learning should have 3 key goals: empowering students through enabling them to experiment and take risks, to provide intellectual stimulation through using a problem-based learning approach, where we give students opportunities to investigate questions they have about themselves, curriculum content, and the world, to embed learning within a climate that encourages collaboration and other life skills that we've already outlined in the SAS Learner Profile. Now, brain research over the last 10 years is providing us with far more detailed information about how adolescents learn, and this is particularly relevant to grade 9. Everything we learn expands neural networks of information in our brain, and what you see on the picture in front of you is a sample of those neural networks. Every experience we have, from cognitive to emotional to physical, has an impact on expanding thinking connections. Neuroscientists used to think that the network was finite. Now we know that it's not. The brain is plastic. The more experiences we have, the more connections that grow. An adolescent brain, a grade 9 brain, is pruning grey matter. It's building white matter in the brain. It gets rid of connections it doesn't use. It really is a matter of use it or lose it. The more connections among the brain's neurons mean a better functioning brain. And what we are seeing is that diverse opportunities foster connections. The more opportunities, the better. An adolescent brain craves risks, and at the same time, because of changes in the frontal lobe, decision-making is shoved aside. Risk-taking and impulsive behavior dominate. And that's why you find that your child may think one thing and do the opposite. Combined with hormonal changes, it also explains mood swings, absent-mindedness, and why your child finds it so hard to make a decision. Experiential learning environments mean that students can be given those diverse opportunities. They can be given healthy challenges. They can be encouraged to develop strategies for decision-making and collaboration. A place like Lushan, an opportunity like Lushan, allows more opportunities to develop creativity, to push boundaries, and to meet the adolescent need to be doing, to be consistently active. So why a remote campus? A remote campus creates a learning environment that challenges students to grow personally, to be aware of the natural environment and deepen their intercultural understanding of China. The Lushan Experience looks at all learning through three intertwined and interdependent lenses. In regards to the goal of personal growth, students are given the opportunity to manage their personal well-being, manage their time, and take responsibility for their own decisions and actions. This may look like leading a team to cook for the evening or leading a team to navigate a trail hike in Lushan. In regards to environmental awareness, students will be observing and collecting data about their natural environment under the leadership of an environmental science educator. As students gather data about the water, air, flower, and fauna and geological evidence of Lushan, students will be able to interpret and form questions that help them explore how human actions affect the environment. This takes us to the third purpose for a remote campus, to deepen their intercultural understanding of Lushan by collecting stories about how the Lushan community interacts with the environment. How is the Lushan Experience similar to China Alive? It takes students out of their comfort zone, helps students build community among ninth graders on their trip. Students get to interact with their immediate cultural and natural environment, and of course they'll be completing their independent inquiry project. How is the Lushan Experience different from China Alive? Lushan Experience takes students off the bus, off the itinerary that drives students to place, often without their knowledge of why they're there. Lushan immerses them in a learning environment and poses challenges to step out of their comfort zones, collaborate with their team members to solve problems, and cultivate the skills that will allow them to be successful for the 21st century. So why did we choose Lushan? Lushan was first brought to our attention by Cindy Easton and Tanya Parham, who traveled there last year. It is in Jiangxi Province, about an hour's flight away from Shanghai, on top of a mountain that rises out of the Yangtze Basin river basin. It is on the UNESCO list because of its unique geology and historical significance. It also has SAS alumni connections, and its location and attributes make it an incredible location for experiential learning. Once a spiritual center of ancient China, Mount Lu was seen as a place of enlightenment, a place to find peace. It continues to be a retreat today. In fact, it's almost a living historical village. It's famous for its history as well as for its unique landscape. As foreign settlement in China grew during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Lushan became a place for refuge for foreigners looking to escape the summer heat. When the communists took control in 1949, Lushan was used once upon occasion as a meeting place for the Central Committee of the Chinese Communist Party.
This area provides a huge range of opportunities for exploration. There is excellent scope for sustainability of a long-term experiential curriculum. And we hope to set up an ongoing collection of environmental data with a strong possibility of using that data in class back at school. The Lushan Geological Park is an outstanding example of Quaternary glaciation. A total of more than 100 important glacial geological heritages have been discovered so far in Lushan Mountain. It is a physical record of the whole process from the formation of the glacier to erosion of rock body, and it provides a historic record of paleoclimatic change in eastern China, similar to glacial motions in North American and European alpine areas. This is an area also renowned for nature trails, with over 20 valleys, 22 waterfalls, and the possibility of seeing animals such as the red panda. Over 1,720 species of plants may be found here. The Lushan Botanical Garden has partnered with the Hoyt Arboretum in Portland, as well as other botanical gardens around the world. The Missouri Botanical Garden in St. Louis, Missouri is one of those, promoting conservation and awareness about plant diversity. The Poyang Lake Nature Reserve is currently on the tentative World Heritage List. It is the largest freshwater lake in China and one of the world's most famous migratory bird sanctuaries, famous for the white crane, where the largest flock in the world exists at the bottom of this mountain. Lushan is also incredibly rich in Chinese culture and history. You will find archaeological sites from the Neolithic, Shang, and Zhou dynasties.
The mountain has Taoist, Buddhist, and Confucian temples dating back to the Han Dynasty, joined by Islamic mosques and Christian churches during the Ming and Qing dynasties. It is the location of one of China's most famous Confucian schools, the White Deer Cave Academy. The site is also famous for the development of Chinese landscape painting throughout history. Throughout dynastic China, Lushan's beauty has attracted poets, writers, and artists, all drawn by the inspirational landscape. There are over 900 inscriptions recorded on cliffs and stone tablets from famous poets from the Song and Jin dynasties. And almost every famous Chinese poet has been inspired by Lushan's mountains and sea of mist, from Su Shi to Li Bai. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Europeans in China retreated to Lushan to escape the heat of summer and diseases such as cholera. The houses they built are still there, unique examples of early 20th century colonial architecture similar to the hilltop communities of India and Malaysia. Lushan is also a site of political significance. Behind the story of this European summer retreat lies memories of the tension created by the loss of the Opium Wars and the opening of China by the treaties of Nanjing and Tianjin. It is part of the area captured by the Japanese. Jiangxi Province was also one of the earliest bases of Chinese communism. Chung laid out the Iron Bucket Plan at Lushan, the encirclement campaigns. Later on, it became a summer resort for both Chiang Kai-shek and Mao Zedong. It was the site of the Lushan Conference of 1959, the 8th plenum of the 8th CCP Central Committee that discussed the state of the Great Leap Forward, where Peng Dehuai criticized Mao in a famous letter. And lastly, Lushan has strong ties to Shanghai American School. SAS and Guling American School were set up in the same year by the main churches in Shanghai. Guling is the name of the small village at the top of the mountain. In the early 20th century, some SAS students attended both schools. A rich collection of primary sources exists both here in Shanghai and in the United States. The history experienced by SAS alumni is a conduit into the past, and in the future we hope to build an archive of SAS materials and the story of the school's development in China. Guling and Lushan are very much a part of that story.
So what will we do at Lushan? In this 2-week pilot program, we will focus on 3 areas. Firstly, our aim is to learn through the landscape, primarily through what we're calling the trail guide activity. Using a field guide template, we intend to explore the cultural, historical, geological, and natural elements, as well as collecting data on Lushan's flora and fauna. Some hikes will be teacher-led, but some hikes will be designed and led by students. One example of an activity would be looking at effects of reforestation. Students will investigate how reforestation of Lushan occurred, investigate problems to do with erosion, identify plants endemic to Jiangxi, and assess the impact of invasive species. Another example would be collecting and examining water data, focusing on both pollutants and conservation. Art, poetry, and history relevant to each trail will be woven into the hike. Our hope is also that on this pilot trip, all students will help us design the program for future students. Their names will be listed as co-authors of the learning experiences that we develop and write up to be used by students in succeeding years. We also hope that we can set up specific areas to collect real-life data that can then be analyzed in science classes back at SAS. Imagine an ongoing program where we're involved in longitudinal studies of environmental data in China. This is a program that has tremendous potential for partnerships with other schools and universities elsewhere in the world. The second requirement is the inquiry project. All grade 9 students will complete this. They choose a focus question and begin investigating this in quarter 4. Lushan students will have the opportunity to finish this during the 2-week program. Finally, community responsibilities such as cooking and cleaning mean students will learn to be self-sufficient. All of this is part of being a member of a community. Intercultural understanding will mean that students will be able to empathize and build relationships. How? By using the language, cultivating common cultural interests, valuing personal stories, and exploring opportunities that exist in Lushan to build relationships and deepen an intercultural understanding.
What are the logistics of this program? We can only take 16 students, so there is an application process. We understand that there may be worries about missing school, but like the SAS Grade 8 microcampus experience, students will have ample opportunity to keep up with and to consolidate the work that their classes are doing back in Shanghai. The trip is accompanied by a team of teachers who can cover the subject curricula. Time will be allowed each day to meet personal responsibilities such as the classwork. Accommodation is in a purpose-built building used for conferences, known as the Lushan Institute. The picture in this slide is of the vocational school. The Conference Institute is actually behind this building, and it contains a series of dorms and conference rooms and a large dining hall. What you see in the lower picture is the small community of Guling. These are the conference and dining rooms where we can work on team projects and set up for meals. Students will be housed in twin rooms, each one with its own ensuite bathroom. Right now the dates are tentative. The exact departure and return dates are dependent on flight schedules, and as we all know, these are subject to change in China. This trip will most likely leave on a weekend and return on a Friday. We will firm up the travel details closer to the date. The Lushan Experience is an amazing opportunity to challenge yourself, to explore boundaries, and to engage with China. And we are absolutely thrilled to be able to offer you this program in 2014.